All right, Bears fans, let's get into it, because things are finally starting to feel different in Chicago. You can sense it. There's a shift happening inside Hallis Hall, and it's not just about new plays or shiny stats. It's about accountability. For the first time in what feels like forever, there's a head coach who isn't afraid to look in the mirror and admit that he can do better. Ben Johnson has come in and completely changed the tone of this organization. He's brought in a mindset that says, if we're going to build something real, it starts with being honest about where we fall short. And that's exactly what we saw this week when he sat down with Caleb Williams to review their performance. The two went through the entire game, frame by frame, not just to celebrate the highlights, but to dissect the mistakes. Johnson said it himself during the press conference. There were moments he wanted back as a play caller, just like there were plays Caleb might handle differently next time. That kind of self-awareness from both the coach and the quarterback is huge. Bears fans have been waiting for years to hear something like that. For so long, this team has lived in a cycle of denial, pretending that effort and culture slogans were enough to make up for bad execution. But not this time. This is a coaching staff that owns it, and that alone already feels revolutionary. Now, let's be real. The Bears' offense hasn't been perfect. They've had stretches where it felt like they just couldn't find rhythm, like that first half where they only managed 10 points through 3 quarters. There were drops, missed reads, and drives that sputtered at the worst times. But the difference this year is that nobody's sweeping it under the rug. Ben Johnson has made it clear that every piece of the offense, from his play calling to Caleb's decisions to the receiver's consistency, is up for honest review. That's the backbone of what this team is becoming. It's not just about throwing the ball deep or leaning on a few explosive plays. It's about building something sustainable. And that partnership between Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson is really the engine behind it all. Those two are tied together in this rebuild. If they grow, the Bears grow. If they take steps forward, the entire team takes steps forward. Caleb's not just learning the NFL speed. He's learning what it means to be the leader of an offense that's expected to produce every single week. And the best part? He's embracing it. He's not dodging questions or pointing fingers. He's talking about what he can do better, how he can read defenses faster, place the ball more accurately, and make smarter decisions under pressure. That kind of accountability from a young quarterback is rare, and it's exactly what Chicago has been desperate for. But let's not act like it's all sunshine. Those drops from the wide receivers were brutal. It was the kind of thing that can completely derail a game, and honestly, it almost did. But Ben Johnson addressed it head-on, calling it what it was, an anomaly. And he's right. This hasn't been a recurring issue all season. Sometimes things just snowball in a single game. The key now is making sure that kind of performance doesn't become a pattern, especially with the tough stretch of games coming up. The coaching staff's already looking at small adjustments, maybe tweaking some routes, or even shaking up the rotation to find more consistency in the receiver group. And you know what? Caleb still found ways to make plays. Even with the mistakes, even with the drops, he kept attacking. He's nowhere near that 70% completion goal Ben Johnson set for him at the start of the season, but that's fine. Nobody expected him to master this system overnight. What matters is that he's showing growth every week. Learning how to take what the defense gives him, learning when to take risks, and when to live for the next play. That's quarterback development in real time, and it's happening right in front of us. Ben Johnson, on his end, is showing that he's not just an offensive mind, but a teacher. He's adjusting his own play calling too, looking back at drives and thinking, could I have made it easier on my quarterback there? That's something we haven't seen enough of in Chicago. Coaches who adapt to their players instead of forcing players to adapt to a rigid system. And that's why the connection between Johnson and Williams is so important. They're growing together. That kind of mutual accountability builds trust, and that trust translates into better football. And if you look past the surface-level frustrations, the offense actually isn't bad. It's not even close to the bottom of the league. In fact, the Bears are sitting comfortably inside the top 10 in several offensive categories. 7th in points per game, 11th in passing offense, and 2nd in rushing offense. That's not something Bears fans are used to hearing. They're averaging over 370 yards per game, sitting 3rd in total offense, and ranking 10th in third down conversions. That's progress. Real, measurable progress. Sure, red zone efficiency still needs work. They're scoring on just over half their red zone trips. But that's something that tends to improve as a quarterback gains more experience and timing with his receivers. What's most impressive is how they've protected Caleb. Only 14 sacks allowed so far. That's third best in the league. That means this offensive line, which has been such a weak spot in years past, is finally holding its own. They're giving the kid time, and when you give a talented quarterback time, good things start to happen. The turnovers are down too, fourth best in the NFL. That shows discipline, control. And when you look deeper into how this Bears offense is evolving, you can actually see that something special is being built. The numbers might not scream perfection, but they tell a story of growth, of real progress, and of a team slowly finding its identity under Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. You can see the fingerprints of accountability all over this offense. Johnson has been open about his own mistakes as a play caller, which is rare to hear in the NFL these days. Most coaches deflect or hide behind vague answers, but not this guy. He looked at the tape, admitted that there were calls he'd like to have back, and that kind of honesty trickles down through the locker room. When your head coach is humble enough to self-correct, it forces everyone else to look in the mirror too. And Caleb Williams has clearly taken that to heart. He's still learning the NFL game, still adjusting to reading complex defenses, but what stands out most is his willingness to grow. He's not pretending to have it all figured out, and that's refreshing. His completion percentage still isn't where Johnson wants it, far from that 70% target they set before the season, but you can already see flashes of what he could become. The way he's diagnosing blitzes, staying calm under pressure, and using his legs strategically rather than recklessly. Those are signs of a quarterback who's maturing. Some fans were quick to label him as overhyped because of the generational talent talk that followed him out of college. But that narrative was never fair. It was unrealistic from the start. No rookie quarterback walks into the NFL and dominates immediately, not even the greats. Caleb needed time, real game reps, and the right system. Now that he has that, we're seeing the development that so many impatient fans failed to anticipate. But development doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's built on chemistry between the quarterback, the coaching staff, and the supporting cast. That's where Ben Johnson's influence is clearest. His play designs are becoming more dynamic, more balanced between run and pass, and he's not afraid to adjust mid-game. That's something the Bears have lacked for years, adaptability. Remember when this team couldn't buy a first down if the run game stalled? That's not the case anymore. The Bears are currently one of the top rushing teams in the league, sitting near the very top in total yards per game, and they've cracked the top 10 in multiple offensive categories. Think about that for a second. Chicago, the franchise that spent most of the last decade being allergic to offense, is now top 10 in scoring and moving the ball efficiently. That's a massive shift. It's not just the scheme, though. It's a mindset. The team is learning to hold itself accountable, to take ownership instead of pointing fingers. Wide receiver drops were a major issue in the last game. No question. It drove everyone crazy watching perfectly placed passes hit the turf. But Ben Johnson didn't throw anyone under the bus. He acknowledged it, called it what it was, an anomaly, and moved on. That's leadership. And he's right. This isn't a recurring issue for this group. Still, it's something they need to clean up if they're going to make that next leap offensively. One of the most interesting developments to come out of this stretch has been the emergence of Luther Burden. You can feel the coaching staff's trust in him growing week by week. His snap count is climbing, his targets are going up, and when the ball gets in his hands, he produces. 18 targets, 16 catches, and nearly 14 yards per grab. That's efficiency. It's becoming impossible to ignore. The chemistry between him and Caleb Williams is starting to form, and that's exactly what you want from a young quarterback-receiver duo. Johnson even mentioned that there's a strong case for getting Burden more involved, and he's absolutely right. The kid's ceiling is sky high, and the Bears are going to need that spark as the schedule gets tougher. Now, if we're being real, the defense still has its issues. They're giving up too many points, and the yardage numbers aren't pretty. But they also lead the league in takeaways, which is no small feat. It's what's kept them competitive in so many games. The defense bends, sure, but it rarely breaks completely, And that's thanks to some standout performances from players like CJ Gardner-Johnson, who's been a huge addition to this roster. The energy he brings, the swagger, that's infectious. This team feeds off that. And as the season goes on, getting guys like Nosu back into rhythm will only help solidify that side of the ball. Still, the main story here isn't the defense. It's the evolution of this offense, the one that fans have been begging to see for years. When you watch the Bears now, there's finally structure. Plays have purpose. There's rhythm. You can tell there's a plan, and even when things don't go perfectly, it doesn't feel chaotic. That's the biggest difference from the past. We're not watching a team that's lost or hoping for a miracle. We're watching a team that's learning how to win, learning how to respond when things don't go their way. And it's wild to think how much this transformation has changed the national conversation. Early in the season, national analysts were ready to write Caleb Williams off. They questioned whether he could adapt to the NFL, whether he could handle pressure, whether he had what it took to lead a franchise like Chicago. Fast forward a few months, and the tone has shifted completely. Executives around the league are admitting that they might have judged too quickly. They're seeing the progress. They're seeing a young quarterback who's not just talented, but teachable. And that's the most valuable trait of all. One general manager even said that Caleb just needed time in a real system, that expecting him to be elite right out of the gate wasn't realistic. That's exactly what a lot of us have been saying. Another exec pointed out that he's learning to take the easy completions, to stop hunting for highlight reel plays every drive, and that's where you can see Ben Johnson's coaching coming through. Caleb still has that gunslinger mentality. It's in his DNA, but now he's learning when to dial it back and when to take what the defense gives him. Those small adjustments are what separate potential from production. Look, the Bears aren't a finished product yet. The red zone efficiency still needs major work. They're converting just over half their opportunities, which puts them near the bottom third of the league. That has to improve if they want to hang with elite teams. But the foundation is there. The offensive line is holding up better than anyone expected, allowing some of the fewest sacks in the league. That stability up front has given Caleb the time he needs to grow. The turnovers are down, the execution is sharper, and there's a clear sense of direction. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The NFL world is buzzing after the league's unexpected decision to cancel the highly anticipated matchup between the Washington Commanders and the Chicago Bears. What began as a seemingly routine postponement quickly spiraled into one of the most talked-about controversies of the season. Sources close to the situation claim that newly surfaced footage, described as clear and undeniable by one insider, shows evidence of shocking theft tied to the event. League officials have remained tight-lipped, releasing only a brief statement citing unforeseen circumstances. However, several reports from team facilities suggest that the issue goes far beyond logistics or weather. Insiders whisper about a possible breach involving team property, with speculation ranging from stolen playbooks to compromised communication equipment. While no names have been officially linked to the alleged incident, social media has erupted with theories, each more explosive than the last. Fans were first to notice that something was off when both teams failed to take the field for their scheduled warm-ups. Moments later, league security was seen escorting multiple staff members from the sideline area. Videos circulating online show confused players exchanging tense looks as officials conferred near the tunnel. According to one anonymous source, the footage that prompted the cancellation was captured inside a restricted zone where no cameras were supposed to be operating. Neither the Commanders nor the Bears have issued formal comments, though both organizations reportedly demanded a full investigation before any rescheduling is considered. The NFL's Integrity Office has launched an internal review, and speculation suggests that the mysterious new images might reveal tampering that could have influenced more than just this single game. For now, the league faces mounting pressure to explain what really happened. Fans, players, and analysts alike are left wondering if this cancellation marks an isolated incident, or the beginning of a deeper scandal that could shake the foundation of the sport itself. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.